Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and today we're going to take a look at my Game Week 6 team selection. So as usual, I'm going to take you through how I did for Game Week 5. The quicker I do it, the better, because I didn't do really well. A lot of us struggled in Game Week 5 with really low scores. If you got anything more than 40 points, you did really well, so give yourself a pat on the back. Right, so that's Game Week 5. Then we'll look forward into Game Week 6, a little bit on my transfers going into the game week and how the team is shaping up. So hopefully you guys do enjoy this video, and if you do, please give it a like and also subscribe as well if you are new around here. We just hit 5,000 subscribers, so I really want to thank everyone for helping me to hit this target. I truly appreciate every single one of you for supporting the channel, watching the videos, liking, commenting, subscribing. I really appreciate it, so thank you guys, and I'll continue to put out content, and hopefully you guys enjoy the content on the channel as well. Alright, so let's quickly jump into Game Week 5 and quickly just get over it. So it was a horrible game week for me, 36 points. The game week average was 44 game week, so this is actually the first game week that I scored below the game week average, and the target was always to try and stay in and amongst that point range where it's close to the average, so that at least if we get a red arrow, it wouldn't be so big. But unfortunately this game week I didn't manage to get close to the average even, right? I'm like 8 points off the average, so as expected, a really big red arrow, almost doubled my rank, or more than doubled my rank actually, right? So 759k now, but once again, rank not super important at this point. I think once we start to wildcard, a lot of us will be looking to wildcard in game week 8 to game week 10. That period is probably when you would see the ranks kind of split a little bit more, simply because those who are wildcarding may get an advantage and some points advantage ahead of those who don't wildcard, and we'll see the point gap kind of stretch. So until then, I'm not too worried about rank, right? And focusing on my players, actually for game week 5, if I don't really look at the outcome and I focus on my decision making process, I'm quite happy with the decisions I made, right? So firstly, I made the decision in the end to start with Levi Colwell and drop Estupinian to the bench. Now, of course, Estupinian didn't even come on at all. So for those of you who started Estupinian, you just got your auto sub of the first defender on your bench coming back on to the starting 11 to replace Estupinian. But in my position, I started Levi Colwell simply because I felt like at the end of the day, Chelsea did have a slightly better chance of a clean sheet, and Estupinian would probably concede against Manchester United, which did happen, right? And he didn't play, right? So that's why he got auto subbed off. But I think if he did, right, I'll be pretty happy that I made the decision to bench him instead, because he wouldn't have scored a lot of points. Right, so 6 points for Levi Colwell, who started. I'm pretty happy with that. Another decision I'm very happy with as well is not to follow the hype and go for Heung-min Son. Now, I know Son had a lot of chances, but I did feel as if Tottenham may not score a lot of points, a lot of goals in that particular game. It did feel as if they would score about 1 to 2 goals. It did not feel to me like they would score 5 like what they did against Burnley, right? So that's kind of why I didn't go for him in the end, and I wanted 2 free transfers going into game week 6. So I'm happy with that. I stuck with Foden. In the end, Foden also didn't do too much, but come game week 6 and game week 7, Foden has better fixtures, so we'll talk a little bit more about him. I'm likely to keep him as well, so I'm just happy that I don't have Son right now, because the game week 6 and game week 7 fixtures for Tottenham aren't that good. Come game week 8, maybe I will get him as well. Right, so again, nothing too much to scream about in terms of points for all my other players. Haaland doesn't really count, even though he returned, and in fact, he should have gotten even more. Right, he actually underperformed his XG by more than 1.5 as well. So really unfortunate that he didn't score more, but at the end of the day, he's not too big of a differential as well. And then Saka is the only other player with a return, right? So overall, a very horrible game week. We'll look forward to game week 6, 2 free transfers, and loads of money in the bank. Let's take a look at how I intend to use it. So at the moment, I have 2 free transfers, and I'm likely going to use both of them. I have loads of money in the bank, 3.6, but as you guys can see, based on these potential transfers that I'm eyeing up, I'm going to have even more money left in the bank. Now, the reason why I'm eyeing up these 2 particular transfers, I'll go into them right now. Chilwell to Botman. Now, I definitely want a Newcastle defender, and it's whether I want to go for Botman or someone like Trippier. At this point in time, the reason why I'm favoring swapping Chilwell out and going for Botman, who's a cheaper defender, instead of Trippier, who's slightly around the more expensive price range, or a little bit closer to how Chilwell is priced. But by doing Chilwell to Botman, it frees up loads of money, and it contributes to the amount of money I have left in the bank, which is 4.8 as well. And the plan is that I potentially can save my wild card by doing these two moves, loading up cash in the bank and preparing for a potential Salah move in the next couple of game weeks. If I'm able to get Salah with just free transfers, I may save my wild card. So this kind of leaves the options open, and selling Chilwell isn't the worst thing in the world. I do understand he's very attacking, but the thing is he hasn't been getting he's been benched in game week 5, and on top of that, the previous game weeks as well, we saw him come off quite early. So he's not really a 90-minute player. And in fact, he's kind of being used as a left winger of some sorts, right? And the thing is, it seems like Levi Colwill, who is playing left back now, is the one that's preferred at the left back position. So having Colwill in my team at least kind of helps me to cover that Chelsea defense for their pretty okay fixtures in game week 6 they have Aston Villa, but come game week 7, game week 8 they have decent fixtures, Fulham, Burnley. I'm fine to have Levi Colwill then, right? So hopefully Levi Colwill continues to start at left back, right? Obviously if Chilwell replaces Colwill at left back, then that's going to be another problem. For the time being, I think if I do Chilwell to Botman and then Jackson to Alvarez as well, it leaves loads of money in the bank, and it will allow me to do that Salah move, right? So touching a little bit on the Jackson to Alvarez move, I think long term Alvarez is a player that I probably would want to keep in my team. Then there aren't a lot of good forward options moving forward. Maybe Ollie Watkins, but I actually prefer Diaby to Ollie Watkins, because Duran is coming into the team now for Aston Villa and he's taking minutes off Watkins. So Diaby seems like the only player that the only outfield or attacking player that I want from Aston Villa. So because of that, in the forward spot, there's a space now, and I think Alvarez is that player. If I were to wildcard in game week 8 to game week 10, he's the player that I would want as well. So he's kind of a long-term move. Granted, he may not get starts consistently every single game week, but that's a risk I'm alright to take, because Man City have a lot of injuries right now. Bernardo Silva just got added to the list. Yes, Grealish is coming back, but Champions League and everything, they're going to have to rotate some players. Yes, Alvarez would probably miss out 1 out of maybe the next 4 matches, but I'm fine to take that risk, right? Because they have really, really good fixtures now. And I honestly don't think like Jackson will score really well over the next couple of game weeks. He's also on a potential suspension tightrope. So I'm really eyeing up these moves. I will have to wait and see what Pochettino says about the Colwill and Chilwell situation. But assuming that we don't really get confidence Chilwell is going to get consistent starts, Chilwell to Botman is definitely a move that I'm eyeing up. Jackson to Alvarez, if we get leaks that Alvarez starts against Nottingham Forest, I'm pretty likely to just make that move. I will wait to the deadline to do that. Hopefully we get some leaks there. Right, so these are my potential transfers, and after making these transfers, let's take a look at how the team would look like. So assuming I make those 2 transfers that we just discussed, this is how my team would look like, and I think this team looks pretty strong, right, on paper at least. I don't really have any Spurs players. I didn't bring in Son, as I mentioned last week, so I don't really have a situation where I'm loaded up on Spurs players who are playing Arsenal this week, right? Instead, my midfield looks really strong up front. Haaland and Alvarez as well. In the back line is Estupinian, Colwill, and Botman. I'm going to start Onana this week. Hopefully he does keep a clean sheet against Burnley, right? But there's no way I'll play Turner against Man City either ways, right? So overall, I think it's a really, really strong looking team, assuming I make those 2 transfers. And just touching a little bit on some of the midfielders that I kind of want to mention, Eberechi Eze has actually been underperforming his expected goal involvement for the first 5 game weeks, right? He actually could have had loads of returns in the first couple of game weeks. So I actually am pretty happy. I have him against Fulham, and he's playing at home as well at Selhurst Park. He's on set pieces, he's on free kicks, everything. Right, so I really hope that Eze can do well there. Rashford plays Burnley. I'm happy to have Rashford over Bruno Fernandes. I do think like Rashford looks a little bit more lively as compared to Bruno Fernandes. Phil Foden is a player that I did consider earlier on this game week having to remove if he doesn't start against Forest, but having Bernardo Silva now injured because of the Champions League, it seems as if Foden is very likely to start. Honestly speaking, Grealish is also 7 to 10 days away from a start, and he needs to condition his body back as well. So it really does not seem like Grealish will get back into the team. So Alvarez and Foden, honestly speaking, I would be very surprised if they don't start in game week 6. Right, so Foden definitely will stay in the team. Obviously, we'll get some team leaks and hopefully we get news he starts. Mbeumo against Everton, good fixture for him. Saka against Tottenham. Now, I fully back Saka for this one because they're playing at the Emirates. So, North London derby, I'm expecting goals for Arsenal there. So, I'm not going to overcomplicate things this game week. Haaland will be the captain. And yeah, this would be the 3-5-2 formation I'm going with. On the bench, I have Udogi, Kabore, and Osula. I'll probably swap Kabore first on the bench and do Udogi second on the bench come the deadline, right? But honestly, I don't expect my bench players to do really well. So there we go. This is how my team would probably look like, assuming I make those 2 transfers. Let me know what you guys think. What transfers would you make? And what transfers you guys are making to your own teams as well. Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for 5,000 subscribers, and I'll catch you guys on the Game Week 6 deadline stream 3 hours before the deadline as usual. Bye-bye.